What's going on YouTube? This is Isaac from IMBRC. Today I'm going to be doing a video on the Yokomo YZ4 versus the Yokomo YZ2. I happen to have the CA edition of the YZ2, which is their high traction version, which is basically an indoor car for carpet and AstroTurf. It's essentially the same as the dirt version that they have, with a few minor differences. This video is not going to be so much a review of each car, it's more a comparison of one versus the other. So if you're thinking about buying either the YZ4 or the YZ2 and you're on the fence about which one to get, this might help a little bit. So first off, I'll say that both of these cars are really nice. I've really been impressed with the build quality, the quality of the parts, the precision in how everything is assembled, especially on the YZ2. I was really blown away by how precise everything fit together. It was extremely nice to build. The YZ4 is also very nice, but the build wasn't quite as nice as the YZ2. The YZ4 is a much more involved build, much more difficult. The YZ2 was fairly straightforward. If you built kits in the past, it wouldn't be an issue. The YZ4, however, I wouldn't say I struggled with it, but it was definitely more time consuming. So let's take a brief look at each car individually, and then we'll sort of do a comparison of one versus the other at the end of the video. We'll start out by looking at the YZ2. The YZ2 is a two-wheel drive buggy. It has a lot of nice features. Let's just go around the outside of the car and look at some of the features that are on it. Right off the bat, you'll see that we have a carbon fiber shock tower, alloy body shocks. All of the little bits and pieces in the shocks are also aluminum. This car is loaded with aluminum. The cap on the end of the shock is aluminum, and all the little bits and pieces of the spacers and everything, that's all aluminum. The caps are not aluminum though, but we've got an aluminum brace right there. There's more aluminum down here for your hinge pin brace. Looking at the back of the vehicle, again, carbon fiber shock tower. Both front and rear hinge pin braces are aluminum. CVD rear axles, gear differential. We'll pop the body off. Very nice looking body. The body on this is very thin, very lightweight, very thin. I would say that the YZ4 compared to the YZ2 definitely has a better body. It's just more, the Lexan is just thicker on the YZ4 versus the YZ2. I don't know if they did that on purpose for weight savings, but it's fairly flimsy. It is what it is. So I'll just do a quick overview of my setup, just in case you're curious about what I'm running. I'm running the Savox 1258 TG Black Edition Servo, MyLapse transponder, the Hobby Wing V3 100 amp ESC, Spectrum receiver, Gen Ace Shorty Pack 4200 milliamps, 60C 120 burst, and a 10.5 turn Tekin Gen 2 motor. One thing that is definitely, that this car definitely has over the YZ4 is the steering rack. Every part of the steering rack is aluminum. and there's no bushings to be found anywhere in there. It's all ball bearings. And when you assemble it, it's super smooth. So you take a look at this buggy from the side and you can see what a low center of gravity it has. Everything is really pushed down to the chassis. You get that from the 3-gear lay-down transmission. Very nice for high-speed corners. There is a decent amount of room to fit your electronics. I didn't have too much of an issue with that. So very nice buggy. If you're thinking about getting one and you're in the 2-wheel drive market, don't hesitate, just pick one up. The price on the YZ2 is definitely cheaper, significantly cheaper than the YZ4. And with this particular kit, it was probably one of the nicest kits that I've assembled. I was just really impressed with how precise everything was. I mean, even when you put the pistons in the shocks, they have to be perfectly straight. If they're cocked one way or the other, they bind in the bore of the piston. That's how precise everything fits together. There's just no slop whatsoever anywhere on this buggy, except for maybe a little bit in, you know, the turnbuckles, which is to be expected. But very tight, very nice. Highly recommend picking one of these up. Between this buggy and the YZ4, hands down, the YZ2 is the winner. Okay, let's talk about the YZ4 a little bit. So this is a 4-wheel drive buggy, which is a big difference compared to the YZ2. One thing you may want to consider is if you're looking to get one of these for racing, check and see at your local track what's more popular, 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. Where I race, 2-wheel drive is by far more popular than 4-wheel drive. So right there, you may want to consider the YZ2. But maybe 4-wheel drive is more popular where you race. So definitely a big factor though, different classes. Something to consider, 2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive. That's the biggest difference between the two buggies. So let's take a look at the outside of the buggy. Again, sort of a similar body style as the YZ2. You sort of have that ridge that runs down the center of the roof. I think it's a really nice looking body. I really like the way it looks. On both of these, the YZ2 and the YZ4, you have the option of either mounting the shocks in the rear behind the shock tower, or you can also mount them in the front, and that's available with the YZ2 or the YZ4. It's just an additional block that you add or remove to do that. The shocks are the same on the YZ2 and the YZ4. There's no difference aside from spring rate. The components are the same, so the same aluminum shock bodies, the same aluminum end caps. All little spacers are aluminum, plastic on the top for the cap. That's all the same between the two models. You definitely don't get as much bling and hop-up parts on the YZ4. There's a lot more plastic. The YZ2 is just loaded with hop-up parts, and I mean loaded. The YZ4 is still a nice quality kit. You just don't get all of those extras that you do with the YZ2. The YZ4 is also significantly more expensive, and it's also much more difficult to build. So you may want to consider that as well. Looking at the inside of the body, this is a belt-driven vehicle. There's no center differential, there's a center slipper clutch, and then it runs off of a jack shaft to a forward belt and then to a rearward belt. And then there's a front and rear gear differential. But there's a lot of stuff packed into a very small area. I'm not crazy about the ESC location. There's pretty much nowhere else to put it, but it does fit barely, so you do want to consider a small ESC. You can run different battery configurations in either of these buggies. The Shorty Pack seems to be the most popular choice, and you can fit this sideways, which works well. The wings on both of these kits are very nice. Quite thick. The Lexan's very beefy compared to other wings that I've seen on vehicles. So quickly going over the components I have is the Hobby Wing 120 amp V3 censored ESC. Same servo as the YZ2, the Savox 1258 TG Black Edition. Hobby Wing 6.5 turn censored motor. It's more motor than I would recommend. I just happen to have it kicking around, so I used it. If I was buying a motor specifically for this car, I'd probably go with a 10.5 turn. MyLapse transponder, Gen Ace 4600 milliamp battery, 60C. Very nice kit, but difficult to build, much more expensive than the YZ2. Less bling and hop-up parts, a lot more plastic. But you do get a four-wheel drive buggy. There's more components. Still get some carbon fiber, still get some aluminum. But this buggy was definitely a challenge to build. I mean, even just fitting the components in it compared to the YZ2 was much more difficult. So I like both of them. They both drive very well right out of the box. The YZ2, both of these vehicles, but I mean the YZ2 is unbelievable to drive. It's so fast. I race on turf, and I just can't stop thinking about going out and racing again. I mean, it's just so much fun. And so is the YZ4. Both of them are a blast to drive. So there you have it, a quick comparison of the YZ2 versus the YZ4. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will be doing a more detailed review of each car individually. I may try to get some running videos up if I can. So I appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you around. Take care.